Starting with a low, we have a
6.4.
oh no! Oh! And then, then we have a 10 and a 10 and a 10
and another 10. It's a lot of 10s. I thought it was gonna be 3. Yeah. So that makes the total score a time for slam poetry. This is War of the Proses.
Welcome to War of the Proses. I'm Melissa Rose. And
I'm Lee Knight Jr.
Wonderful.
We are Caligula 6.
Caligula 6 is here to give.
And welcome to War of the Proses.
This is your place for slam poetry, the backstage antics that are truly stranger than fiction.
History, lore, and tea for you to experience the slam poetry phenomenon from the years 2002 to 2015. Starting, I would say that, it's not completely Bay Area poetry, but I'd say a lot of the poetry events and the poetry teams that will be mentioned and cited are from NorCal Slam, the famous and sometimes infamous part of the slam poetry community.
We will get into why that is as time goes on. But yeah, let's give a rundown. So this will be our first our first episode. So just letting people know a little bit about what to expect from this podcast if this is your first time tuning in. Like Lee said, we'll be giving all of the kind of history, the lore, the experiences that the two of us had being part of the Bay Area scene from 2002 to 2015. All of the
it was crazy. It's crazy.
All of the craziness.
Some things were great. Some things were just great moments that we would like to share with our audience.
Just from our perspectives, the things that we experienced and our opinions as we reflect on all of it, being part of the scene for as long as we were, part of major players in it. I
was talking to it with a friend, and she had said, you guys go on stage and you're emotionally naked. And I was like, yes, but here's the caveat. When we're on stage, we're the best us that we can possibly be. And there's an audience there to prove it. But we're emotionally naked.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so people it's like, wow, it's almost like you're this therapeutic stripper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people are being pleased at seeing how much of yourself are you going to bear?
Yeah. I think that's
what's the other thing? Crystal Ash. Yes. Anyway, Crystal Ash said in 2006 I think it was at regionals, we were talking about who's going to score higher, and she was like, the judges don't care about content. They just want to hear that their life is so much better than yours. I was just like, it's so true. It's just the more fucked up it is, it's the darker mess of it. Dude, is my life better than this motherfucker? Yeah, it is. All right, yeah, I'm scored high, right? So the darker it is, and so sometimes like that, where you're like, wow, the writing isn't winning, but it's this this reminder to these people that are oh, your life is not, my life isn't that bad. Oh, here's this pity point. So anyway, I had to throw that in there, the kind of things that we went through to walk the line between. We didn't do that because our thing was less about if we did something bad in our lives. Our poems are more like, okay, we went through something bad, this is how we got through it, instead of big pot belly bats.
Well, let's go into that a little bit though, because I wanted to talk to you specifically, right? About what inspires you as a poet and give a little background about you. So before we go into that, I'm just going to read a little bit of a bio about Lee Knight Jr. Lee Knight Jr. is an internationally recognized slam poet, writer, and coach. He's the creator of the Palo Alto Poetry Slam and featured on many final stages, including Salt Lake City's Mayhem in the Mountains, the King of the Mic competition, the individual finals of the National Poetry Slam in 2006. And he was the coach and team member of the winning team of Group Peace Finals in 2009 at NPS. He's been a team member of Team San Jose in 2003, Team Palo Alto 2004, 2005, 2006, 2014, Team Berkeley in 2009 and 2010, Team San Francisco in 2012, and Team Santa Cruz in 2013. Lee has been a featured poet at dozens of poetry slams in Germany and Austria, and he toured both countries in 2003, 2007, and 2010. As a slam team coach, he has inspired countless other poets as a mentor, writer, and friend. That's a little bit about you, Lee. I mean, as the listeners
Ooh, yeah.
can can gather from that incredible bio, you know, you have so much experience um, in the slam community, and I want to, you know, take this opportunity for, you know, to give you the opportunity to talk to all of those listeners out there about, you know, what inspires you as a poet, and you know why, you know, you felt a connection to slam poetry. You know, what keeps you in that community for the number of years that you've been in it.
Um,
So Lee, tell us a little bit about how you started doing slam poetry.
yo, I was trying to get out of prison, son. Life is really hard. Wait, let me first find my where's my image? I wow, that's kind of that's a lot. Uh Slam itself, you know what drew me, honestly? The movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's only a slam at the very freaking end of the movie and it doesn't explain anything about slam, the rules, or nothing, right? But you know, Saul's team took third that year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's plus charismatic, really. I
Yeah.
can see, you know, why when I was younger, how, because now I'm kind of like, okay, you're kind of all over the place. I really can't follow some of this, you know. But when I'm young, I'm like, so deep, man. It's wow, like it's, you know, it's kind of like Rage Against the Machine, but he's a poet. Like, so I was, you know,
Mm-hmm.
entranced, and uh went to a lot of open mics, especially I think when I started going to open mics. No, I went to a couple before I moved to Boston. Went to a couple in LA and a couple in Hollywood. Then I moved to Boston and I went to the Cantab and the Lizard Lounge. But I only did their open mics, but I would stay as long as I could because I worked in the morning. I would stay and kind of watch the slam. I would never take part because, you know, again, I knew I was a beginner. Second, the whole didn't know the rules that much. You know, I looked it up and I kind of a 3 minute thing, and I didn't, you know, I was good at open mic, so I was gonna kind of keep it at that
Mm-hmm.
until I went to San Jose, and I think I did good one night at the Cafecito because I would go there like every Thursday. That was my thing. I was satisfied because I went to a couple of open mics in the other part of the Bay, and it's funny too. Me and Simona actually tried to start our own open mic. It was so funny.
Oh, no.
But I saw they had a Battle of the Bay, and it said the Bay Area's best poets, and I was kind of annoyed because I was like, how do they know they had the best poets? I haven't even tried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the guy was still that's arrogant bastard. And bam, ran into Jason Biani and Mike McGee, and you know, come and slam. Just, you know, cut down the poem, make it 3 minutes, and yada yada yada. and you do really well. Like, okay, well, let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, I'm going to slam and just some gypsy girl with like no shoes on, like writing a poem outside. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna fucking lose. Dude, like that was it. And I tied the barefoot gypsy girl, that was Melissa, um, for a second, and then was slamming ever since. Like I'm kind of quick to loyal. So after that, I was like, oh, I'm all about San Jose and going on the waves all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Even when they were corrupt.
Oh, we have
Dude,
plenty of time to go into those things. I was I
but what about you? You have more done other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But how did I get started doing slam poetry? I got started doing slam poetry. I had always been a writer in my younger life. I used to write screenplays and short stories and some poetry. Um, and kind of went through my teenage angsty kind of phase, where you have all those hormones and feelings and stuff. And I loved reading the thesaurus for fun and writing down words I liked and then making kind of poems out of these cool sounding words. So a lot of things are very like rhythmic and very like sound based, how the words sounded when I said them. So I did a lot of kind of experimental stuff like that, and did some playwriting, and I wrote a play about, well, one of the characters was a woman who wanted to perform poetry on stage. So, and I had not performed any poetry on stage at that point, but the play was selected and for a competition and was performed with actors, professional actors, and
Ooh.
that and I don't know if it was like seeing like the character that I wrote like get over their fear of performing, might have pushed me kind of over the edge to get the confidence to actually perform poetry.
Wow.
But I
That's a
think,
story in itself. I like that.
yeah. But how it really happened was, I worked at a movie theater that did midnight showings of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And there was a person there who was part of the cast who was like, hey, you write poetry? Well, I'm hosting a poetry slam like next week. You should come and check it out. And so I said, okay, I'll come and check it out. And I went to that show, and I signed up for it, and I hadn't done open mics or anything like that. So I wasn't really knowing what was going on with the judging or anything. And I just read like my angsty teenage poetry, which didn't make any sense. Um, but it felt good, and I liked the vibe of the other poets. I liked their style and their confidence and their writing, and I think there I met another person who was like, hey, I liked your poem. Like, you should come to Cafecito. They do open mic every week, and you should come, and practice, and then maybe check out the slam. So that was kind of like how I started getting into it. And then once I started to get into it, I just really liked it. I liked going on stage and being able to just have a couple minutes to just say whatever I wanted to say. so So that's how I got into slam poetry.
Not be judged for your age because you were young and stuff. So it might have
Yeah, that was
felt
the other
really
thing too. Yeah, and I was, 16 at the time. And you know and yeah, and one of two underage people who were slamming at the time. So it was it was quite an experience, to be young and around older people who, for better or
Oh,
worse.
that's right. Was it Amy White?
Yeah, it was Amy White, who's the other. We were the
Oh
same.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's popped up on
Amy White. I wonder, yeah, I wasn't very close with Amy. it was an interesting group. And Lee, it wasn't until you and I met and started working together that I really felt like, I had a crew, of people. Because it was very clicky back then. And,
Yeah.
being a young kid, the the people who wanted to hang out with me were like gross creeper people. So
Yeah.
I really, one of the reasons why I like started that nonprofit that I was running was, so it would be like women, older women kind of swooping up and supporting younger artists who were women too, because at the time it felt like,
It was there. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't feel welcomed, by the women in the community. Um, which was kind of hard actually. you know, but I'll get into
Well,
that.
no, because it's kind of like I think they saw you as a threat.
Yeah.
And Charles didn't exactly gauge up the yeah. Anyway, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's when I started doing slam poetry. That's how I started.
But you left out like okay, but you had accolades, ma'am. I just thought we were gonna hear some accolades there. I heard you did something about children's theater or something like that.
Oh, well,
You
yeah,
wrote
but
something.
I don't really count children's theater. I just did backstage.
Oh, so doing stuff as a child doesn't count. Oh,
I
so
just
what made you not like childhood?
don't
Is
even
Michael Jackson?
I was gonna say that's like a whole can of worms. Oh my God.
Have you
So
seen my childhood?
be my childhood. Okay, wait, I have a question for you. So, what makes a good slam poet, in your opinion?
You have to be a talented writer
Hmm.
and a talented performer,
Hmm.
and you also have to have some kind of charisma or some kind of shtick, that you can
Hmm.
keep the whole time. Because
Yeah,
otherwise, like,
yeah,
so you can build somebody up and like say, okay, this is because your stage persona has got to be you at your absolute best.
yeah, yeah,
And and you if you at your absolute best is somebody who everybody would like, either they be the underdog or whatever. Um, yeah, so it
yeah.
helps, like,
Mhm.
and sometimes the people who take first, especially in indies, have charisma or they're the ultimate underdog.
Yeah, yeah.
Because some poems,
You said something when you were like, I did really well at the open mic, and I'm wondering, because we're so used to, the format with points, right?
yeah.
How did you know that you did well at the open mic?
Oh, the crowd was like losing it. That was kind of fun.
Okay, yeah. So it was
It
like
was
the
yeah,
crowd response.
yeah,
Right?
you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
then I think that's what gave me the confidence about slam because if the crowd was responding, then well shit, if they judge me, they would probably judge me nice. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
the feeling of feeling the crowd and getting that energy, I think that's what you like that feeling. It's
Yeah.
easy to get addicted to. It's so nice.
Yeah, it gives you that good little dopamine adrenaline rush. Well, it's like,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think a lot of slam poets could relate to that. I know I can. I mean, it's also like that feeling like, oh my gosh, like people get it, like I'm up
Exactly. They
here
understand.
saying something important to me and other people can feel that, or not only that, they're like encouraging me to keep going, to keep saying it, it really,
Exactly.
gives a lot of reinforcement, to keep doing it.
So to me it's almost like that instant gratification because um you're five people who you don't know judge you and to make it even we're going to drop the high and the low so two of these people don't count but out of those five these three people are going to say this is the average this is how the average person or the average feeling of your poem would be and there's there's a good satisfaction when you think something's good and it ends up being good, and you're like, that's right, like, that, or if it's not good, like, okay, I got to go back to the drawing board,
Hmm.
and like,
Yeah.
let's do this to it, let's do this. And there's that nice, you get satisfied because you kind of know, okay, this is where this stands. Where in like an open mics and stuff like that, you don't, it's, you just have to, people just have to tell you, oh, that was really good. Oh, but people
Hmm.
fucking say anything.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
I'd rather a stranger just be like, you suck. I didn't like you
Yeah.
before. Like,
Yeah, I think that the judging and the audience kind of response part, gives you a better feeling because it's like, you do an open mic and everybody's like, yeah, good job, like you went up there, right? But
yeah,
someone
exactly.
someone gives you,
Thank you for opening your heart.
a 5 out of 10, right? And then the audience is
Yeah,
yelling at them, right? Being like,
exactly.
boo, boo,
Yeah,
like,
and the guy's like, wasn't feeling your shit. Yeah.
yeah,
You asked me
exactly.
to judge.
There's passion there.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's,
Yeah.
it's the instant satisfaction. Like, oh, I know. That's much better.
Yeah. Um,
But
well, like who for you, who are like your like top three like slam poets? Like who does it the best, as far as just their style, their consistency, performance and writing? Like who are the
it's so weird. Matters the year,
Mhm.
because like, because in general, because I know who I like, and like I would say in my top 3 or 5 years, not in any particular order, but definitely Rachel McKibbins, definitely Nicole Homer,
Mhm.
definitely Anis Morjani,
Mhm.
and that's, I think, well, that's three. Well,
Three.
because I want to say Buddy Wakefield. If I don't, I'm like a sinner. So like in Buddy Wakefield,
You're a goddamn
because you
sinner.
got to say Buddy. It's
Yeah.
like he's the KOS one of slam. So it's kind of like, well, like even his new stuff. Like what
Mhm.
was it? What do you say? He said, um, you don't know me. You know a mistake I made.
Mm,
Dude, and
that's a
it's
good
like,
line. That's a good line.
and the guy was a waiter, and he goes, "Now, who ordered the worst case scenario?" Dude, and I
Good.
love, like, you
Oh,
don't know me.
so good.
You know a mistake I made. I'm like, ooh, God bless.
That's
But
good.
like, yeah, like those are, and like as far as years go, there were like, for a while, Reese was really good and talented. So like Javon, Team Denver for a couple years.
Yeah.
Hmm. Sonia and Andrea,
Mhm. Oh, so I thought
multiple tour, but you
like during
multiple
the
tour.
episode, I'd ask you questions, then you'd ask me questions, then we talk about Caligula 6. Who are my top three slam poets? Well, I like you really. Rachel McKibbins was a very big influence
Yeah.
on me, but also because the way she talked about pain in this visceral way was something that I identified with and something that I really was inspired by, how pain could be described in such a raw and beautiful way, and how like both of those things can exist at the same time, and also
Mm,
just her presence and her power, on stage and off, just as a human being was always very inspiring to me, as someone to look up to in the scene. I really respect her, as a person. So she was a big influence. I'm trying to think who else I it's like there's like to me, like there's poets like you hear and you're like, oh, like it's so good. It's hard to
yeah.
choose just a couple. Uh,
Well, you're the one who asked the question.
I
Yeah.
know, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
Damn.
um, I'm trying to think of other people. Like if I was gonna say these are the people you should listen to, like who would I say? Um, because I remember, see, you really like Buddy Wakefield. I like Buddy Wakefield too, but there's other people who I know. So Rachel McKibbins, I really like Kyrie Jackson. I was thinking about Kyrie.
Yeah, 69. Yes, dude, I played the Peter Pan poem for
Yeah,
Laura. Like,
hands
back
down,
and forth.
the best Persona poem, in my
Plus,
opinion.
because he had such a wide array. Because his other poem was, I remember it was about the old person, the old guy
Yeah.
who couldn't remember his wife's name.
Yes.
The
I
whole poem was him trying to remember that, and it's like, dude, it's the theater guy. It's like it's the
Mhm.
range of you can go from this to this, like, just
Mhm.
go on. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
No, so I was gonna say, yeah, Kyrie Jackson, Rachel McKibbins. Um, I
That was that
remember
bad.
when I was when you went to nationals in 2003. I remember, we were watching the DVD. I remember like Steve Connell, and
Yes.
Reeves being, big
Yeah.
deals um at the time.
Michael Sorelli.
Michael Sorelli. Um
I missed that poem. I think it was so well written.
Sonia Renee. Also, Shane Koizan, you know.
Yeah.
I really liked Shane's performance style. Um and like, the kind of bigness and then the whisperedness,
Yeah.
like how he would go
Exactly.
back and forth.
Big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whisper. Um, I'm trying to think anyone else that really comes to mind. Rachel Kahn. There's just so many things and memories of different times um, that being a part of the slam community brought to me. And being friends with you too, Lee. So and
But like,
being and working with you, and writing with you. Um, but
performed at this service.
yeah, well,
Sorry.
do you wanna go a little bit into like how we started the slam and how that got going? Because Lee and I were originally part of the San Jose Poetry Slam community at Wave Smokehouse. That's what it was called. No, Wave something.
Yeah,
Wave.
I think
It
it's
was a bar and
it's
saloon, sort of, and that's where we kind of started slamming, and that was like our introduction to the slam community. Um, yeah,
and should we do I was saying two parts.
what?
Because there was a good part where it was like, we were in my living room practicing. Everybody was there. We was trying to get a team. We were just getting ready.
Yeah,
And those are the good times. Those are
yeah.
real good times.
Well, let's talk about
And we
that
drive to another
first,
place.
right?
Yeah, yeah, like, and then we didn't know it, but for an organizer, we were great advertisements. You know what I mean? Because we're all about, oh, come to waves, come to the slam, come to the slam. And we're all excited to go and perform and stuff like that. And, we're not that. It's me, we're good looking people. So it's kind of like, um, it was good for them. Right. And it was good for us. But then as we started to know how things really operate, and we thought we could do it on our own, we realized yeah, it takes more than like, three people. First,
Mhm.
I think we had four, but like, but dude, when you have a slam, the Boys and Girls Club, remember the one with the pumpkins? We had, God, like, I don't know why I got like 20 pumpkins.
Well,
I think
like,
I think audience members got a pumpkin.
mhm.
I think your mom came to that slam.
Yeah, I think. Well, like let so like you were talking about the like the core group that we had in San Jose, we had there was about, what was it, 1 2 3 4 5, there was maybe like 6 of us, 7 of us really, that we would go to the slam, we'd slam, and then we'd go back to your place, and then we'd kind of talk poetry, and we'd smoke,
Oh
and
yeah.
you'd feed us these
Yeah.
wonderful meals, and talk late into the night, about art and creativity and the kind of poems that we wanted to write. It was a very
Yeah.
beautiful
We
time.
record ourselves and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna
yeah.
say we
We
were,
saw like people make poems there, remember? Like
yeah, we saw people make poems, um, and that ended up being what they call signature poems. We'll get
really
into
good.
slam
Yeah.
lingo down the line a
Well,
little bit, but like like we saw certain poems get created in your living room, and bounce
yes.
ideas off of each other, and it was a really great like kind of collective, collaborative, um creative core.
Liz was there when the chameleon used to be called the plagiarist.
Yeah, that's right. And I think all of us that year, it was that year we were all trying to get on the team that year, Team San Jose, and we were like all,
It was almost like senior year of high school.
huh?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
we were
That
like
was
all in
crazy. We were
finals.
all in the finals, and it was at the San Jose, what was it, the art
The art museum.
remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh man. Even remember, and they had back then in Slam we had a really good photographer named Poetic Dream.
Mm-hmm.
Remember him? I
I
mean
do.
her. And really there were so many pictures, right? I mean, even for at our phones. And it was just yeah. And the fact that like we worked hard all the way up to that point, like
Mm-hmm.
mm. And for us it was a big thing, but for veterans or people who had been on teams before, back then you'd make it in the
Oh, I think I lost him. Um, So one thing that I wanted to mention was that that finals was really important for that whole group that was working together that whole year, and spending time after every slam at Lee's house. We'd process, the feature that we saw. We processed the poems that we did, how we felt like they scored, and we were all coming into that finals with a lot of, oh, yay, you're back.
I changed internet. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. I,
Okay.
I was saying that like, um one thing I was thinking about was like how, like when that finals came around,
Yeah.
it was like all the veterans that were in the finals, were seeing like all of this new crop of young, people kind of coming in new to the street.
Yeah.
We're all incredibly talented. But one thing that I remember was that it was all kind of love, really,
Mhm.
like there wasn't really like a lot of competition between like the core group that we were a part of. We were all kind of like, oh, I'd love to be on a team with you, I want to be on a team with you, and it was like, whoever made the team that year,
Exactly.
it was a good thing, it was a supported thing, and not all of us made the team that year. I didn't make the team that
Yeah.
year, you made
That
the
was
team that
horrible.
year,
Oh
right?
my God,
And
dude, shattered. That was
no,
terrible.
but that's the way it had to be, right? Because you had your
Jeez, went over time.
well, it's a rookie mistake, so it's like, and and I wasn't probably in the best position to be on a team that year anyway. I don't think I was ready, and I think that you guys, went and went to nationals that year and had this amazing experience, and that's when you met Cohen Ryle from Germany,
Oh
and
yeah.
that made that connection with them,
Not
um,
long,
which,
but yeah. Right.
became something else, further down the line, and it was really amazing when you guys came back from that to hear, what had happened and how it was, for
Hmm.
me, um,
Yeah.
And it inspired me, as someone who wasn't there,
Yeah, but we also learned how to we understood how things were run
Mhm,
and how things were happening. And then we were like, okay, let's start our own thing.
mhm.
And we did the Palo Alto thing.
Yeah.
And the interesting is, um, the other reason why San Jose hated us, I hate to bring it up, but some of the people came up to support us while still going down to San Jose. And when trying for the team, Maddie chose to be in our finals instead of San Jose. Like, and he was in the finals before, but he hadn't made it. Remember? So, he dropped from their finals,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he made our team,
Mhm.
and it suddenly became this kind of like, for me anyway, I started to feel um, like 2004, we were your second choice if you didn't make the team you wanted to make.
Yeah.
And if you're a rookie, we'd work with you.
Mhm.
But in 2005, it was more like, because we got Eric and it was me and you
Mhm.
and like Justisima and Chris Bundy, who were both San Jose poets.
So like, you know,
And we did better that year. I just had to point that out. It was one of those like we became that option that we wanted to be. It's kind of like because we weren't about any bullshit. We were always about the art and no fucking in Team Palo Alto, be respectful. We had all these like Muslim rules and shit, like Nation of Islam. Like it was really, but as soon as we left the Bay, because the Bay has elicits the kind of competition that even if you're good, no one's going to tell you that you're good. As
Mhm.
soon as we left, it was just kind of like, oh shit, it's Palo Alto. Like, I remember you guys from 2004, right? And it's like, and it became to the point where people all knew us, respected us. We had good names. People liked our gear and our stickers. You know what I mean? So it's like, so after a while, it became like, fuck the Bay. You know, Here it's just like it's a bunch of crabs in a bucket, and
Well,
everybody's trying to pull each other down. But
let's
that's what I was feeling like, not fuck, I hate everybody, but like, kind of I cared less about what I was thought of locally, and I cared more about what I was thought of internationally.
mhm. Well, let's set the stage about what the Bay scene was like back in those days, because um it, as I recall, it was like you could go to a different slam almost every day of the
Almost every day.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was
And
like,
they were
there was
supported by other slam people. It was actually pretty good. It was
yeah,
good
so
back
it was like San Jose had a slam, and and I'm speaking before we started the Palo Alto slam, but it was like San Jose, San Francisco, Berkeley, Oakland, Sacramento had a slam.
then. Yep.
I don't remember if Santa Cruz had one. Monterey had one. Who else had
Yeah.
one?
I think that was it. Like for a while it was just yeah.
And then Palo Alto had one.
Well, then after that, then Palo Alto, Santa Cruz, and
And Santa Cruz.
what was that? That I remember I did I got those stickers made and it was like the because they were the Texas 13 and I had the California like 23 because we had 23 slams and shit.
Yeah, yeah. California was really rocking slams for a while, and it was really great because we would go to a different one every day of the week if we could.
Yeah.
I remember doing that, and it was cool because poets would kind of go back and forth and slam at different slams. So you'd see the same group of people a lot of the time. Although I remember, when Palo Alto started, it was like a big deal. Like if a San
And nothing wrong
Francisco
with
or
it.
Berkeley poet came to our show, because
Yeah,
it was like,
exactly.
oh my God, so and
Yeah,
so
dude, so and
here.
so's here.
Because we were used to like we had really local people come to the
Really
Palo
do. Oh
Alto
my
show.
God.
You
What's
know,
his face? It's the poet laureate of Palo Alto. What's his name?
Ron.
Ron. Dude, he's
Yeah.
black.
And Ron was really great, but it's like we had local people, right?
Yeah. Oh,
But we also had San Jose people who were not happy with how San Jose was being run and the kind of culture that was in San Jose, which is why Palo Alto really started was because the organization in San Jose was just yuck energy and really rubbed people the wrong way, a lot of people.
Really?
And so like, when poets started dropping from San Jose, right, then we started taking their talent, and then it got kind of kind
Yeah,
of
it got kind
a
of.
little hairy
It
with
was it was really Game of Thrones. We were always the Starks. We came up on top. But it was rough, man. They were cutting off people's heads. It was bad.
cutting off people's heads.
Yeah, it was just bad. It was like, oh man. And but the thing is, if you think about it from a movie perspective, that's why I think the audience is gonna love our stories. It's from the even that's why we're gonna have guest stars, because I think even from our guest stars perspective, we always came in like the underdog, right? That
Mhm.
had something in their pocket. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And like and and we never failed, right?
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, oh, these motherfuckers again. You know what I mean? Like, so I think about it like we think about it like I think about the first Southwest shootout, right? We just came in and just like nailed it, just all 3 rounds, right? And made it to the final stage, right? So, but if you think about it also, the second one, when it was me in 2006 that
Yeah,
we
yeah,
showed up to, right?
yeah.
And what happened? We showed up and it's like me, you, Kim, right?
Mhm.
It's just kind of like what we do. Same thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you know what I'm saying, right? And we
yeah,
had like, and Dallas and Austin were there both times. So I mean, think from their perspective, it was like these kids again, right? And it's just like, dude, who's on the team? It's like, oh, Melissa Rowe, Leon Jr. Okay, fuck. And what we do, like, so it's interesting too, because that's why I also want to hear from their perspective, because we roll in with these team poems and then a single poem and then a team poem, right? We did it both times. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking I like the fact that um we that's when I started getting confident. That's when Southwest Shootout 2004. That's when I'd say, like, if I were a virgin, that's when I was no longer a virgin. That's when I was kind of like, I can do this. Like what we've been doing is right. We're not just stoners who like hip hop. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, no, like this machine that we've created, like these ideas that we've got, this is working, not just with the poetry, but the way we carried ourselves, like our
Yeah,
gear, like, like we were always pushing the slam. We had a killer website. So it was kind of like, so we did it the right way. It just
yeah,
didn't feel like it at the time.
yeah.
And there were other slams, so I trying to hate because it was like, wow, have you seen the websites? I'm like, oh yeah, team members got icons. Remember back in the day, the super website where you could click on to hear poetry and shit?
Super cool.
Dude, like that shit was
And
expensive.
and this was, yeah, I was gonna say this is
Dude,
back in those old internet times. No, well, like when just to kind of
dude, we
off
rolled
of what
pounds to get to international, man. That's the real son.
what when I mean when to jump off of what you were just talking about, I wanted to kind of go back to kind of pre going, to nationals or like things like that.
Yeah,
Um, I mean,
like
you had been
like
to nationals.
learning.
I hadn't been, but then the Palo Alto Slam had started after you had gotten back from being on San Jose, right?
Yeah.
And
So
and
let's
and
we should talk about, yeah, the ride to the San Jose national finals.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because that's where, like, God, all that poetry. Some of it was good.
Mhm.
Well, actually, like none of it I would use now, but but some of it was good. But like, it's like, but actually, it was a good process. Yeah. Because even being on the team, I'd like to talk about it too, because it was cool. Because you would still come to Bob's, which is good because it's also good for a young poet because you were seeing more stuff.
Mhm.
And dude, remember that year Tourette's had a team?
Oh yeah, they did.
It's like, and they had a team because they just wanted a team for the people who weren't going to make Berkeley. You know what I mean? Because it was like those, like, because
It,
Oakland
you
was
know.
back then. Oakland was had their own clique, and I liked it. Oakland was at the
Yeah.
Black Box, and I remember, I loved that. Sonia Whittle, she was just good. She's always so nice to me. And honestly, when I came out here, that's the team I wanted to be on.
Mhm.
And like, it was like, and I dropped their finals for San Jose. But
Mhm.
then again, they had the team. and like, oh wow, I don't even go on that. Wes, we'll talk about that entire time
I
because
was
they
gonna
had
say we
controversy
can
that
talk
year.
about that. We can talk about that entire time. I don't think we have enough time right now because this thing's
Mhm.
gonna cut out soon.
But
But one thing that hold on, I have to take a couple steps back because you were talking about doing things differently, right?
yeah,
I think because we were young and full of gumption, and
yeah,
chutzpah, we kind of came we kind of came in with different ideas and innovative ideas, and the kind of
yeah,
machine that existed in the slam in the bay scene at that time was a machine, same kind of people. It
exactly,
ran a certain way. You did things a certain
exactly,
way. You didn't
exactly,
piss off
exactly.
certain people. Da da da. And I think
Yeah,
that the things that we, in that little collective that we had that first year, there were all these ideas kind of coming out. That later kind of became Palo Alto stuff where we were like team pieces, which were not a
yeah,
thing really
exactly,
at all
exactly.
before then, that we did on Palo Alto. And we'll get into that when we get into Palo Alto in another episode. But
Yeah,
in the Bay, we were kind of like smooshed down a lot
exactly. Oh
because they
my
were like,
God.
"You're weird, like this
Yeah, like, oh my God, why
sucks,
you guys
like
doing this?
why are you
Why you
doing it?"
do
So
this?
so
Yeah,
we kind of were coming at things at a point like,
yeah,
we just didn't give a fuck after a while.
yeah,
We were like, we have nothing to lose. Everybody hates us here. Like,
yeah,
we
dude,
don't
exactly,
care
dude.
or whatever. But then it's like we go to the Southwest shootout and everybody's like, oh my
My
gosh, like we
God,
got a
yeah,
lot of
exactly.
really good positive
Dude,
feedback. And we actually made these connections with these teams from other places that we had
no
no
idea. Yeah,
allies really in the
exactly.
big scene at that time. So it was really kind of interesting to be like, oh, we
Yeah,
aren't
we're
like
somebody.
totally
Yeah,
weird,
like,
crazy, sucky, suck people. Like we actually
yeah,
have
exactly.
value. And we
Like,
have something to say that people resonate with. Because the whole time, the feedback we were getting in the Bay was like, this sucks,
like,
or you're not good enough, or you're gonna fail or whatever. So I
like,
think it really shaped how we approached things.
dude, because remember, like, we did cliche. I did in time to demise. No, I think I did war stories. I can't even remember. And then Karuna's closed down with peanut butter. And we like won every
Yeah.
round. And it was just like in Charles is like, I wouldn't have anchored with peanut butter, but it worked for you. And I'm just going like, yeah, because in the Bay that in my head and say, but in the Bay that shit wouldn't work. But this is a new audience who's not out to judge you. They're out to really judge your work. And that's what I think we grow the most outside because people were like, they would see our work and then get to know us as a person off stage and like, oh, I really like you. But in
Yeah.
the Bay, it was just kind of like, I don't like you. I don't like your work. You're from this area. You're not part of my clique. You don't go drinking with us. You're not on coke.
But anyway, that's all the time we have for today.
So we are going to wish you all a great night and thank you for coming into this slam this evening. How do they close down slams? I forgot. So I'm usually in the back going, did we win? But yeah, so we'll see you for the next slam at this date and this particular time. And I hope that your life is more than just points.
It shouldn't be about the points.
I hope
But
your life is more than
sometimes
just
it
numbers.
is.
Hope your life is more than just numbers trying to make decimal points.